The night the storm rolled into Clearwater Town, the streets were empty, except for a single mother clutching her daughter's tiny hand as rain soaked through their clothes. Her name was Alea Trent, and beside her, shivering under a thin cotton jacket, was 6-year-old Mira. Alea had spent the last of her savings on a motel that locked her out at midnight when her shift as a diner helper ran late. She begged the manager, cried on her knees, but rules were rules, and he sent them back into the rain. Now, with thunder shaking the sky and Mira coughing into her sleeve, Alea had only one thought. I will not let my daughter sleep on the street. Not again. But the rain was merciless, and the bus stop where they huddled felt colder than the world itself. Mira tugged at her mother's sleeve. Mama, my shoes are wet, can we go home now? Alea's heart cracked. Home. They hadn't had one in months. Suddenly, the sound of an engine broke the silence. Headlights cut through the darkness, slowing as they approached the small figure of a mother shielding her daughter with her own body. A black pickup truck rolled to a stop. Inside sat Cade Sullivan, a rugged single dad, widower and owner of Sullivan Repairs. His face was stern, but his eyes softened as soon as he saw the child shivering in the rain. He stepped out without hesitation and approached carefully. Ma'am, he said, voice steady despite the storm. Are you two all right? Alea stiffened, pulling Mira close, her voice trembling. We're fine, just waiting for the bus. Cade nodded slowly, then looked at the empty, shut-down bus terminal behind them. There are no buses at this hour, he said. She swallowed hard, her lie blown apart instantly. Mira sneezed. Cade stepped closer, taking off his jacket and draping it gently around the little girl's shoulders. Let me help. Alea shook her head. No, you're a stranger. I can't. But then Mira looked up at him, tiny lips trembling. Sir, do you maybe have a warm place? Mama is cold. Alea's breath caught. Mira. But the child wasn't done. We have nowhere to sleep. The words were innocent, honest, piercing. And then Alea whispered the sentence she never wanted anyone to hear. We have nowhere to go. Cade's jaw clenched, not in anger, but in pain. He had once held his own daughter in the cold after losing his wife. He remembered that same desperation, that same helplessness. He lowered himself to Myra's height. You do now. Blue heart kindness begins without warning. Cade opened the truck door, letting warm air spill out like a promise. Alea hesitated at the threshold, fear fighting with exhaustion. I don't want to be a burden, she whispered. Cade shook his head. Burden? You're a mother protecting her child. That makes you brave. She blinked, stunned. People usually called her jobless, unreliable, single mother, problem, but not brave. Never brave. Inside the truck, Mira curled into the warm seat, already looking safer than she had in months. Cade drove slowly, glancing at the mirror. What's your name? Alea, she murmured. I'm Cade, and I live 5 minutes from here. You two can stay in my guest room tonight. No conditions. No expectations. She studied his face, the sincerity in his jawline, the honesty in his voice. Why would you help us? Cade exhaled deeply, eyes softening. Because someone once helped me when I thought my life was over. People don't forget that kind of kindness. Alea looked out the window to hide the tears burning her eyes. Evergreen Tree, a home that didn't feel like a stranger's. Cade's house wasn't fancy. It was simple, warm, lived in. Children's books sat in corners. Mechanical tools were stacked neatly on the table, and a picture of a smiling woman hung above the fireplace. His late wife. Alea held Myra's hand tightly. Are you sure about this? Positive, Cade answered. Come inside. He handed Mira a soft blanket and a warm cup of cocoa. The little girl gasped. Mama. It's warm and sweet, Cade added with a small smile. Alea watched him help her daughter sit, watched the gentleness in his hands, the kindness in his movements. Her heart ached. Not because she was falling for him, but because she hadn't felt safe in years. And now she did. Cade motioned to the guest room. You can sleep in here. Bathrooms attached, extra towels in the closet. I'll be in the living room if you need anything. Aleya's voice trembled. Why are you being so kind to us? He paused at the doorway. Because kindness is free and too many people forget to use it. For the first time in months, Aleya burst into quiet tears. Not of grief, but relief. Cloud with rain, a night of confessions. Later that evening, when Mira fell asleep curled in the clean, warm sheets, Aleya stepped into the living room, where Cade was fixing a broken toy truck. She admired the care he put into it, hands steady, eyes focused. You have kids? She asked softly. He nodded.
A daughter. Danny.
She's 7. Where is she? Cade pointed to the photo on the shelf. A bright girl with pigtails hugging a woman. My wife passed away 3 years ago. Since then, it's just been the two of us. Aleya sat down slowly. I'm so sorry. He smiled sadly.
She'd want me to help people.
She always said kindness multiplies. Aleya lowered her head. My husband left before Mira was born. I've been trying to keep her safe ever since, but jobs, rent, food, everything keeps slipping. Cade listened, not judging, not interrupting, just listening. And she felt something she thought she'd lost. Human dignity. Sunrise, a promise they both needed. Before Aleya went to sleep, Cade said gently, Aleya, you're safe here. Just for tonight. Tomorrow, we'll figure things out. She stared at him, emotions tangled. No one ever says we when they talk to me. He smiled. Then it's about time someone did. And for the first time in a long time, she believed it. The morning sunlight slipped through the curtain softly, touching Aleya's face as she opened her eyes. For a moment she forgot where she was. No moldy motel walls. No hard concrete steps. No fear. Just warmth. Then she heard laughter. Myra's. Aleya's eyes widened, and she rushed to the living room, heart pounding with a mother's instinctive worry. But what she found stopped her breath. Mira sat at the kitchen counter, giggling as Cade flipped chocolate chip pancakes into the air. Each time he caught one perfectly, Mira clapped like she'd just seen magic. Morning, Cade said, smiling gently at Aleya. Hope you don't mind pancakes. Mind? She could barely stand, overwhelmed by the scene, her child laughing like she hadn't laughed in months. Mira held up a slice proudly. Mama, Mr. Cade made these. Can he be our breakfast man every day? Aleya swallowed hard, forcing a smile. We're guests, sweetheart. Cade shook his head. You're people who needed warmth. That's all. Blue heart, something Aleya never expected to hear. As they ate, Mira suddenly asked, Mr. Cade, can we stay with you forever? Aleya's fork froze midway. Mira, she whispered sharply, don't say things like that. We can't impose. But Cade didn't look uncomfortable or offended. He knelt beside Mira, speaking softly. You can stay until your mom is ready. I'll help her get back on her feet. That's a promise. Tears pooled in Aleya's eyes. She had never been promised anything without strings attached. Hammer and wrench, Cade's unexpected revelation. After breakfast, Cade took off his work gloves and motioned for Aleya to follow him to the porch. I need to tell you something, he said. Her stomach tightened. Was he changing his mind, realizing they were too much trouble? But instead, he pointed to a small house across the field. It belonged to my sister. She moved overseas last year. It's empty. Aleya blinked. So, he continued calmly, I've been meaning to renovate it. Fix the roof, repaint it, get the plumbing right. I want to make it livable again. She nodded politely, unsure why he was telling her this. Then he said it. And I want you and Mira to stay there. Aleya froze. No, she whispered. No, we can't accept that. You barely know us. You've already done too much. Cade leaned against the porch railing. I don't do things I don't mean. And I'm not offering charity. Then what are you offering? Aleya asked, voice trembling. He looked her directly in the eyes. A chance. A real one. A home. Safety. Stability. Her knees felt weak. Not because he was offering a house, but because someone finally saw her as worth helping. Cade, I don't understand why you're doing all this. He hesitated, then spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. You remind me of my wife. Aleya's eyes widened. She had the same look in her eyes the day I met her, a look that said she was tired, but still fighting, still protecting someone, still holding on when everything else was falling apart. He took a breath. And I couldn't save her, but maybe I can save someone else. Her chest tightened with a mixture of grief and gratitude. Cade, I'm not your responsibility. Maybe not, he replied softly. But kindness makes us responsible, even when life doesn't. Cloud with rain, a secret Aleya never expected her daughter to reveal. While Cade went to prepare tools for the renovation, Mira tugged at her mother's sleeve. Mama, can I tell you something? Of course. Mira cupped her hands around her mouth, whispering like it was the biggest secret in the world. I wished for him. Aleya blinked. For who? For Mr. Cade. Aleya froze. Mira continued, voice tiny but certain. When we slept in the bus station last week, I prayed to God. I said I didn't need toys. I didn't need a bed. I didn't need a birthday cake. I just wanted. She hesitated. I wanted a good man to help you smile again. Aleya's breath caught in her throat as tears spilled silently. And God sent him, Mira whispered. Aleya hugged her daughter hard, unable to speak. Because deep down, she had prayed for the same thing. Collision the twist. Cade discovers the truth. By evening, Cade had already taken Aleya to the small house. He lifted Mira in his arms and carried her inside, so her shoes wouldn't get muddy. Aleya watched them, her child's laughter mingling with Cade's warm smile. It felt unreal. And then, Cade suddenly paused. On the corner wall, half hidden behind dust and old coats, he found a photo frame. His eyebrows furrowed. Aleya, come here. She walked over, confused, until she saw what he held. Her heart dropped. It was a photo of herself, taken years ago at a charity event, back when she still had a job, a little stability, and hope. Cade turned the picture over. There was handwriting. To Nora. Thank you for saving me when no one else would. Aleya Trent.
Nora.
Cade's wife. Aleya staggered back. You're Nora Sullivan's husband? Cade's eyes widened. You knew her? Aleya nodded slowly. She saved my job once. She defended me when others mocked me. She bought formulas for Mira when I was too broke. She was my angel. Cade swallowed hard. She never told me names. Only that she helped a struggling mother once. She said that woman's bravery reminded her of the kind of people worth living for. Aleya's voice broke. She saved me, and now you're saving us. Cade stepped closer, voice deep with emotion. No, maybe you two were meant to come back into our lives. Maybe this was always supposed to happen. For the first time, Aleya didn't look away. Maybe it was, she whispered. Sunrise, a promise that felt like destiny. That night, as stars filled the sky above the quiet house, Cade made a final promise. Aleya, Mira, you will never be homeless again. Not while I'm here. Let me build your home. Let me be your shelter. Aleya felt her heart finally loosen, years of fear falling away. And for the first time, since her world fell apart, she whispered, okay. And she meant it. Glowing star moral of the story. Kindness travels in circles. What you give in one lifetime often returns in another. Nora helped Aleya when she needed saving. Years later, destiny brought Aleya back to the one man who needed her just as deeply. Kindness never disappears. It waits, then returns when the heart is ready.